A small town in Spain is about to feel like a construction site for the entire future of Europe's car industry. In Figueruelas, near Zaragoza, a 4.1 billion euro, around $4.8 billion EV battery gigafactory is going up right next to Stellantis' existing car plant. And here's the part that shocked people. The plan includes sending around 2,000 Chinese workers to help build and start the facility. This factory aims to produce up to 50 gigawatt-hours of batteries a year and help power hundreds of thousands of electric cars. So what's really going on here? Why does a European battery plant need such a big Chinese workforce? And when the factory turns on, who actually controls the technology that powers Europe's next generation of cars? To understand why China is sending thousands of workers to Spain, you first have to understand how badly Europe needs batteries. Electric cars are not limited by motors or software. They are limited by one thing: battery supply. Without large-scale battery factories, Europe cannot electrify its car industry, no matter how aggressive its climate targets sound on paper. The European Union plans to end sales of new petrol and diesel cars by 2035. That deadline forces automakers to move fast. Every electric car needs a battery pack. Every battery pack depends on factories that barely existed in Europe just a few years ago. China saw this problem early. Today, China controls over 70% of global lithium-ion battery cell production. It refines the majority of the world's lithium, cobalt, graphite, and manganese, and it hosts nearly every stage of the EV supply chain, from mining and chemical processing to cells, packs, and final vehicles. No other country comes close. At the center of this system sits CATL, which alone supplies roughly 1/3 of all EV batteries used globally. CATL batteries power cars from Tesla, BMW, Volkswagen, Mercedes, and nearly every major Chinese EV brand. If you drive an electric car today, there's a good chance a Chinese battery is inside it, or at least Chinese processed materials. But CATL is only part of the picture. Companies like BYD operate on a completely different model than Western automakers. BYD doesn't just build cars. It builds batteries, motors, power electronics, and software in-house. That vertical integration lets it cut costs aggressively and scale faster than competitors who rely on suppliers. This is why Chinese EVs became affordable so quickly. While Western automakers treated batteries as outsourced components, Chinese firms treated them as the core product. They optimized chemistry for cost, not just range. They pushed lithium iron phosphate batteries early, years before Europe and the US took them seriously. LFP batteries cost less, last longer, and avoid expensive metals like nickel and cobalt. China didn't wait for perfect technology. It built factories and improved them year after year. That decision created something powerful: learning through volume. When you produce batteries at massive scale, every failure becomes data. Every defect improves the next batch. China's factories ran millions of test cycles long before Europe built its first gigafactory. That experience compounds, and it's not something you can buy overnight. This dominance spilled directly into EVs. China is now the largest EV market in the world, selling more electric cars each year than Europe and the United States combined. Domestic competition pushed prices down fast. Some Chinese EVs now sell for half the price of comparable European models, largely because battery costs are lower. That's why Europe started to worry. Cheap Chinese EVs began entering European markets. Sales rose quickly. Brussels opened investigations. Automakers sounded alarms. But behind all of that sat one unavoidable fact: China controls the most expensive part of the EV, the battery. And that brings us back to Spain. Europe doesn't just want batteries made nearby. It wants access to how China makes them so efficiently. This doesn't mean China will dominate forever. Battery technology will evolve. Solid-state batteries, sodium-ion cells, recycling breakthroughs, these could reshuffle the deck. Europe still has strong research institutions, engineering talent, and regulatory power. But right now, in this moment of transition, China sets the pace. And Spain's Gigafactory shows how the EV race is actually being run, not through slogans about independence, but through hard decisions about who knows how to build at scale today. Europe, by contrast, tried to build its own battery champions, and many of those attempts failed. Britishvolt collapsed. Northvolt struggled financially. Several planned European gigafactories never made it past announcements. Spain didn't want to be part of that failure. Instead of waiting for a local battery industry to mature, Spain took a different approach. Bring in the company that already knows how to do this at scale. That company is CATL, the world's largest battery producer, and its partner is Stellantis, one of Europe's biggest car groups. Together, they're building one of the largest battery plants in southern Europe, right next to an existing car factory that already employs thousands of Spanish workers. But batteries are not like car assembly lines. You can't simply hire workers, switch on machines, and hope everything works. Battery plants demand extreme precision, chemical control, and production discipline that Europe is still learning. And that's where the 2,000 Chinese workers come in. They are being sent because Spain does not yet have people who know how to build this type of factory from zero. The factory is being built in Figueruelas, a town that already knows the auto industry well. For decades, this area has hosted a major Stellantis car plant, producing vehicles for European roads. That existing factory is one of the main reasons this location was chosen. Batteries are heavy, expensive to transport, and tightly linked to vehicle assembly. Putting battery production next door cuts costs, shortens supply chains, and reduces risk. Now let's talk about the scale, because Gigafactory is not marketing language here, it's literal. This is the largest Chinese industrial investment ever made in Spain. The site will cover hundreds of thousands of square meters and operate around the clock once fully active. When complete, the plant is expected to employ around 4,000 Spanish workers directly. The key number everyone keeps quoting is 50 gigawatt hours of annual battery production. But what does that actually mean? A single electric car typically needs a battery pack between 50 and 75 kilowatt hours, depending on size and range. At full output, this factory alone could supply batteries for 600,000 to 1 million electric vehicles every year. That's not a niche facility. That's a backbone factory for Europe's EV supply chain. The plan is to begin operations around 2026, then ramp up gradually. Full output is expected closer to 2030. Once equipment, workforce training, and supply chains stabilize, this staged ramp-up is standard for battery plants, where even small defects can shut down entire production lines. The factory will focus on lithium iron phosphate batteries, often called LFP. These batteries matter for one big reason: cost. LFP batteries don't rely on nickel or cobalt, which are expensive and geopolitically sensitive materials. They last longer, handle heat better, and cost less to produce. China dominates LFP technology today, and European automakers increasingly want it for affordable EVs. That choice already tells us something important. This factory is not aimed at luxury EVs. It's built to support mass-market electric cars, the kind Europe needs if it wants to electrify transport at scale rather than just sell premium models. Funding also tells part of the story. While most of the $4.8 billion comes from the companies involved, the Spanish government and the European Union contributed roughly $350 million in public support. That money comes from EU recovery and green transition funds, taxpayer-backed incentives designed to keep advanced manufacturing inside Europe. Europe is effectively betting that bringing battery production home, even with Chinese help, is better than importing batteries from China forever. And if you expected backlash, protests, or panic, that's not what happened. In Figueruelas, the reaction to 2,000 incoming Chinese workers has been mostly practical and surprisingly calm. This town already lives with the industry. Many families depend on the nearby Stellantis car plant. People here understand what factories bring: stability, wages, and long-term survival. When the battery project was announced, the dominant feeling was not fear. It was relief. Supporters talk about jobs, timelines, and production targets, but critics focus on something less visible, but more important in the long run: control. Because building batteries is not the same as owning the technology behind them, CATL will operate the core processes. It controls the production logic, the quality systems, and the fine details that separate a functioning battery line from a failed one. Spanish workers will learn how to run the factory, but that doesn't automatically mean they learn how to design one from scratch. And that difference matters. If Europe only hosts production while innovation stays elsewhere, it risks locking itself into a supporting role. That's the core fear behind the criticism. Some Spanish political groups have already voiced this concern. They argue that public money should build domestic capability, not subsidize foreign dominance. Europe tried to do this alone and failed. Several European battery startups collapsed before reaching scale. Others fell years behind schedule. In an industry where every delay costs billions and risks missing targets, waiting carries its own cost. So this project forces a trade-off. Move fast with outside expertise, or move slowly and risk falling out of the EV race entirely. Another point of concern is replication. If CAT-L builds multiple factories across Europe using the same model, Chinese firms could dominate battery production on European soil. That doesn't mean Europe loses jobs, but it may lose bargaining power. This is why some policymakers argue that projects like Spain's must be paired with something else: serious European investment in independent battery research, materials processing, and next-generation technologies. In other words, cooperation now, but competition later. Whether that actually happens is an open question, because industrial policy doesn't just depend on plans. It depends on political will, funding discipline, and patience, things Europe hasn't always shown in this sector. So where does that leave this factory? It leaves it sitting at the center of Europe's EV future, not as a clear victory or failure, but as a test. A test of whether learning by doing can close the gap, and a test of whether Europe can turn partnership into capability rather than dependence. So here's the question for you. If Europe needs Chinese expertise to electrify its future, is that smart cooperation or a strategic risk? And if this model spreads, will Europe emerge stronger or simply more efficient at hosting someone else's technology? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.